What rights do undocumented workers have in the U.S.? In the United States, millions of people work without legal immigration status. They pick crops, build homes, clean offices, and care for families. Yet many wonder, if I don't have papers, do I still have rights at work? The answer is yes. While undocumented workers don't have every right that citizens or legal residents do, U.S. labor laws protect all workers, regardless of status, when it comes to core workplace protections. That means your employer can't exploit you just because you lack papers. In this video, we'll break down the key rights undocumented workers have under U.S. law: the right to be paid fairly, the right to a safe workplace, the right to be free from discrimination, and the limits, like unemployment benefits or reinstatement, that don't always apply. Let's start with the most basic protection: the right to be paid for your work. Part 1. The right to wages and overtime. Under the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, all workers in the U.S., including undocumented workers, have the right to be paid at least the federal minimum wage, $7.225 per hour as of 2025, unless your state sets a higher rate, and to receive overtime pay for hours over 40 in a work week. The law does not ask about immigration status before granting these rights. That means if you're paid less than minimum wage, or if you work 60 hours but only get straight pay for all hours, your employer is violating the law, even if you're undocumented. Employers sometimes threaten undocumented workers by saying, "You can't complain because you don't have papers." But that's false. The U.S. Department of Labor, DOL, can investigate wage claims without asking about immigration status. Courts have repeatedly ruled that undocumented workers can sue for unpaid wages. Example: a group of undocumented restaurant workers filed a lawsuit after being paid below minimum wage and denied overtime. The court ordered their employer to pay back wages, showing that immigration status does not erase wage rights. It's important to note that while you can collect unpaid wages, there are some limits. Undocumented workers usually cannot receive reinstatement, getting their old job back after termination, because immigration law bars employment without authorization. But they can receive back pay for work already performed. Key takeaway: being undocumented does not make your labor worthless. If you worked, you are owed lawful wages, and you can file a complaint with the DOL or in court to enforce that right. Part 2. The right to a safe workplace. Every worker, no matter their immigration status, has the right to a safe and healthy workplace. This protection comes from the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, a federal law that applies to most employers across the U.S. What OSHA guarantees: under OSHA, employers must provide a workplace free from recognized hazards. This means proper safety equipment and training, protection from dangerous chemicals, unsafe machinery, and fall hazards, clear reporting systems for injuries and hazards, medical exams and records when required by law. Importantly, OSHA does not ask about immigration status when workers file complaints. The agency's mission is to protect health and safety, not enforce immigration law. Reporting hazards. If you see unsafe conditions like broken ladders, unguarded machines, or exposure to toxic substances, you can file a complaint with OSHA. You can even request an inspection. Complaints can be filed online, by mail, or by phone, and you don't have to reveal your immigration status. Workers also have the right to refuse dangerous work if they believe they face imminent danger, and there's no time for OSHA to intervene. While this should be used carefully, the law recognizes that your safety matters more than a paycheck. Retaliation protections. OSHA also prohibits employers from retaliating against workers who report unsafe conditions. That means your boss cannot legally fire you, cut your hours, or threaten you for speaking up. In practice, undocumented workers are often afraid to exercise these rights, but the law still protects them. Complaints about retaliation can also be filed with OSHA, and the agency has brought cases on behalf of undocumented employees. Example: Juan, an undocumented construction worker, was injured when scaffolding collapsed. He reported the unsafe conditions to OSHA. The agency investigated, fined the employer for violations, and required changes to safety procedures. Juan was still entitled to medical care and wage replacement through the workers' comp system, despite his immigration status. Key takeaway: undocumented workers are fully protected under OSHA. Your employer must keep your workplace safe, and you can report hazards without fear of your immigration status being checked. Your safety is a legal right, not a privilege tied to citizenship. Part 3. Protection from discrimination and harassment. Another major area of protection for undocumented workers is the right to be free from discrimination and harassment in the workplace. These rights come from federal laws like Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, ADA, and the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. What the laws say under these laws: employers with 15 or more employees, 20 for ADA, cannot discriminate against workers based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, 40 plus, or disability. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, enforces these laws and makes clear they apply to all workers, regardless of immigration status. That means your boss cannot harass you with racial slurs, deny promotions because of your gender, or fire you for your religion, even if you don't have legal papers. Filing a complaint. If you experience discrimination, you can file a charge with the EEOC within 180 to 300 days of the incident, depending on the state. Like OSHA, the EEOC does not ask about immigration status when investigating. Its focus is on whether discrimination occurred. Retaliation is illegal. Employers also cannot retaliate against workers for filing complaints. If you're punished for reporting discrimination or harassment, that itself is another violation of the law. Limits to remedies. Here's the limitation. While undocumented workers can file discrimination complaints and may receive damages for emotional distress or workplace harassment, courts generally do not order reinstatement, getting your job back, if you're not legally allowed to work. This limitation stems from Supreme Court rulings like Hoffman Plastic Compounds vs. NLRB 2002. However, you may still receive compensation for harm suffered while employed. Example: Anna, an undocumented farm worker, faced repeated sexual harassment from her supervisor. She filed a complaint with the EEOC. The investigation led to a settlement compensating Anna and requiring the employer to implement anti-harassment training. Anna could not be reinstated in the job, but she was protected under Title VII and received relief. Key takeaway: undocumented status does not give employers a free pass to discriminate or harass. Federal civil rights laws apply to you, and agencies like the EEOC enforce them without regard to immigration status. While certain remedies may be limited, your right to dignity and fair treatment on the job is protected. Part 4. Limits and risks. Where rights stop and what undocumented workers should know. While undocumented workers do have important protections under U.S. labor laws, there are also real limits and risks they need to understand. Knowing both sides helps you make informed decisions. While my no right to work authorization labor laws protect you once you are employed, but they do not give you the legal right to work in the U.S., employers are required by federal immigration law to verify work authorization using the I-9 form. If you provide false documents and your status is discovered, the employer may terminate your employment, even if you were otherwise protected by wage or safety laws. 2. Limited remedies in court. As mentioned earlier, undocumented workers can recover unpaid wages, damages for discrimination, and compensation for injuries, but courts generally will not order reinstatement or back pay for future work after termination. This limitation was established in the Hoffman Plastic Compounds FRAS LRB 2002 case. 3. Workers' compensation. Most states allow undocumented workers to receive workers' compy benefits for workplace injuries. That includes medical treatment and partial wage replacement. However, in a few states, insurers or employers may try to challenge benefits by pointing to immigration status. Courts in many states have confirmed that undocumented workers are still covered, but you may need legal support if challenged. 4. Unemployment benefits. Generally, undocumented workers are not eligible for unemployment insurance because it requires valid work authorization during both past employment and the period when benefits are claimed. This is one major gap compared to documented workers. 5. Risk of employer retaliation. Even though retaliation is illegal, undocumented workers often fear speaking up because of the threat of immigration consequences. Some unscrupulous employers use this fear to exploit workers, withholding pay or ignoring safety rules. It's important to know that agencies like the Department of Labor, OSHA, and EEOC typically do not share immigration information with immigration enforcement, but the fear is still very real for many workers. Example: Luis, an undocumented janitor, files a wage claim for unpaid overtime. His employer threatens to call immigration if he continues. The Department of Labor investigates anyway and recovers Luis's wages. While the threat was illegal retaliation, Luis still faced emotional stress from the risk, showing the limits undocumented workers must navigate. Key takeaway: undocumented workers do have real rights to wages, safety, and dignity, but there are also limits, especially when it comes to reinstatement, unemployment, or long-term job security. Speaking up can carry risks, but federal and state agencies increasingly stress that labor rights apply to all workers, regardless of immigration status. Undocumented workers in the U.S. may not have legal work authorization, but they are still protected by many core labor laws. You have the right to be paid at least minimum wage and overtime, the right to a safe workplace under OSHA, and the right to be free from discrimination and harassment under civil rights laws. In most states, you also qualify for workers' compensation if injured on the job. There are limits, like no unemployment benefits and no guaranteed reinstatement. But your labor is not without value. If you worked, you earned protections. If this video helped clarify your rights, hit like, share it with others who might need this knowledge, and subscribe for more guides to workplace law.